Welcome to today's podcast, where reality becomes stranger than fiction and love walks hand in hand with allegations of trafficking, manipulation and trauma. We begin with the woman known only as Jane, a pseudonym that now carries the weight of celebrity scandal, courtroom tears and contradictory emotions. As Jane sat before a federal jury, she did not appear as a cold accuser or angry ex. Instead, she stunned the courtroom by saying, "I still love him." Him being none other than Sean Diddy Combs, the man on trial for sex trafficking and racketeering. Her voice was soft yet unwavering, her gaze steady even as Diddy reportedly smiled and nodded, reminiscing along with her. And so begins this twisted saga, a woman emotionally tethered to her alleged abuser, bathing him, cuddling him and rubbing his feet while Dateline played in the background. Yes, Dateline. That detail might seem benign, until you remember Dateline is a show about true crime. Perhaps poetic, perhaps ironic. Jane was living in a Dateline episode long before she knew it. As the courtroom leaned into her testimony, what followed was not just an account of trauma, but of complex emotional entanglement. Jane testified that early on, Diddy told her he lived a polyamorous lifestyle. At first, she was unbothered, maybe even curious. But over time, as feelings deepened, it became impossible to ignore what she called imbalance. Imagine loving someone deeply, only to watch them publicly parade another relationship as monogamous while telling you that you're just part of a polyamorous vision. The gut punch? That other relationship was with Young Miami. High profile, high visibility, and highly romanticized. Jane's words grew heavier as she described being tired, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. From what she said became an expectation to have cold, loveless sex with strangers for Diddy's pleasure. "I'm not a porn star, I'm not an animal," she told him in messages read aloud in court. "I need a break." But in Diddy's world, emotional exhaustion apparently wasn't a good enough reason to stop. We now turn to the pathology behind the persona. Jane painted a picture of a man unraveling, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. She described Diddy's gums as grey, his hands shaky, and his eyes jaundiced. "I didn't know how to label it," she said, referring to his alleged drug and alcohol use. "I encountered somebody that was overdoing the partying. This wasn't the glamorous mogul sipping champagne in a Versace robe. This was a man who," Jane suggested, "was deteriorating in front of her eyes." But here's where things get even darker. Voice notes played in court revealed Diddy calling Jane his crack pipe because he was addicted to having sex with her. Jane echoed the sentiment in her own voice note, saying it was real for both of us. It was clear this wasn't just a legal entanglement, it was emotional codependency at its most toxic. Addiction isn't always to substances. Sometimes it's to people, to power, to control. At the heart of the prosecution's case was the claim that Diddy orchestrated freak-offs, group sex scenarios that blurred lines between consensual experimentation and exploitation. Jane said she participated in these for years, even pleading with Diddy at one point to stop making her sleep with male escorts. Her messages to him were haunting. "It's been 3 years of me having to K strangers. I need a break spiritually and mentally." Prosecutors wanted to bring back a clinical psychologist to explain why some of Diddy's alleged victims, like Jane, might appear to have consented at times, why they smiled, why they stayed. But in a major win for the defense, Judge Aaron Subramanian ruled the expert could not return. The jury, then, was left to make sense of the contradiction. A woman testifying to abuse while saying she loved him. A woman giving foot massages while begging to stop being sexual entertainment. In this trial, consent wasn't a line, it was a smudged grey zone drawn in power and pain. As if the emotional entanglement and power dynamics weren't enough, the courtroom also heard from people outside Jane's story, like Eddie Garcia, a hotel security guard who claims Diddy counted out $100,000 in cash from a brown paper bag to buy a video of him beating ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. A bribe, a cover-up, a desperate attempt to erase digital evidence. Then came Sheree Hayes, a male exotic dancer who testified that he was paid to sexually massage Cassie while Diddy, wearing a burqa no less, watched from the shadows. This wasn't just salacious detail. This was alleged behavioral evidence of voyeurism, control, and perhaps something darker. Jane testified that she believed Diddy was a cuck, and possibly bi-curious, terms she said she researched in desperation to understand him. But one thing was clear: Diddy liked to watch. Whether it was sex, drama, or his own empire burning in slow motion, we're all now watching him. And just when you thought it couldn't get more chaotic, Jane's lawyers begged the court to intervene as media and online sleuths tried to unmask her identity. Judge Subramanian sympathized, but admitted there was little he could do to stop it. The courtroom sketch artists were even ordered not to draw her face. Jane remains anonymous for now, but outside that courtroom, another battlefield looms. Diddy's ties to political power are no secret. He's rubbed shoulders with everyone from Barack Obama to Donald Trump, who, according to reports, might consider a pardon if Diddy is convicted. It's hard not to notice the irony. A man who promoted vote or die is now facing the fight of his life, and may have to turn to politics to save it. Meanwhile, Jane, still testifying under a pseudonym, walks the tightrope between heartbreak and horror. Love doesn't erase abuse. Smiles don't negate manipulation, and money, as we've learned, can silence everything except the truth echoing from the witness stand.